Hello class, today we're going to be looking at the age of absolutism, which is basically looking at the kings and queens of Europe. It was a benefit to this form of government because it was a strong central government which unites the country. So you have one government that is centered on one person, if you want to remember central government. However, there is problems to this type of government also. If you had a bad king or queen, they can ruin previous good accomplishments. This form of government was caused by the Crusades and the Age of Exploration, because again, you remember you're going to have the kings and queens sending the explorers out to find new land to basically expand their empire. The first European country that we're going to look at is France, and the monarchy line was the Bourbons. And so every person that became a king or queen in France will have this last name, or they're part of this bloodline. Most of the time, the kings and queens were passed down through relatives or through the direct bloodline. So a king would hope to have a son to pass his crown down to. If they were not able to have a son, then more likely it will pass down to their daughter. That's where you would get the aspect of having a queen. One thing that France is known for is the Versailles, the Palace of Versailles, which was built by Louis XIV, and it was built in France, of course. He built it to keep his friends close to him, but also to keep his enemies closer to see if they were plotting anything against him. So again, the Palace of Versailles was built by Louis XIV to keep his friends close, but also his enemies closer. The next country we're going to look at is Austria, and that is in Europe, and their family bloodline is the Habsburgs. Prussia, you have the Hohenzollerns, and then in Russia you have the Romanovs. There is a bit more that you need to write down for Russia. Peter the Great was the Tsar of Russia. They were not called kings or queens, they were called czars. Russia was a bit behind because Russia is further east in Europe going towards Asia, and it gets cold a lot in Russia. You have snow, you have ice. So sometimes people from Europe, Western Europe, did not travel to Russia because of the climate in Russia. So Peter the Great knew of this, and he wanted to westernize Russia. Basically make it similar to Western Europe, because remember, Western Europe is exploring the New World. They're bringing back all these different cash crops. They are making money. They're going down to Africa. They're into the spice trade. So he sees all of this, and he wants to be part of it. So he says, hey, I need to westernize Russia. So he had a land reclamation by building St. Petersburg, which is going to be called the Window of the West, and I'm going to explain that further in our presentation today, in our lecture video. He is going to build Russia's navy also to ensure that Russia is traveling and trading with other countries, especially in the West. In England, you're going to have the Tudor dynasty and the Stuarts, and we already talked about Henry Tudor. He was the king that had the 5 wives, and that he killed several of his wives for different reasons, but we talked about if he didn't have a son, he wanted to remarry another person. And so that's why he broke away from the Catholic Church. If you think back when we looked at the Reformation, Henry Tudor wanted a divorce from Catherine of Aragon. The Catholic Roman Church did not want to give him that divorce, so he decided to break away and form the Protestant Church, or the Church of England. This is the Tudors. And remember, he's going to have a son, Edward. He's going to have a daughter. Mary's going to be the oldest, but he's going to have Mary, he's going to have Elizabeth, and he's going to have Edward. And we'll talk about Mary in the next slide. But eventually it's going to switch from the Tudors, and it's going to go to the Stuarts. Mary Tudor is the daughter of Henry. She tried to return England to the Roman Catholic Church, because remember, Catherine of Aragon is from Spain. Spain is part of the Catholic Church, so Mary was raised as a Catholic. So when she does take England over after her father passed, she wants to return it back to the Roman Catholic Church. This does not go well in England because there are people that are now Protestants. So if she has anybody that goes against her or anybody that says they are Protestant, she does kill them. And this is where we get the term Bloody Mary. She killed thousands of Protestants because of their religious beliefs, because she tried to return the church back to the Catholic Church. Elizabeth is Mary's sister, half-sister. They did not get along. They did not like each other. Matter of fact, Mary tried to have Elizabeth murdered on several occasions because she did not like Elizabeth, but she was only queen for 5 years, and Elizabeth is going to take over. This is going to be a happy period of time for England. She is going to be known as the Virgin Queen because she never gets married. She is going to bring the Renaissance, which you should have talked about the Renaissance in 6th grade, where you have, it means rebirth, so you're going to have a lot of different artwork that is going to come from this period. She's going to bring the Renaissance to Europe, and she's going to restore the Anglican Church, which is a big positive for the Protestants. So now they don't have to worship in fear, they can worship out in public, because Elizabeth has taken the country back to being the Church of England and not being part of the Roman Catholic Church. During this time, you are going to have powerful European countries that are going to try to go up against each other. And one of those European countries is Spain. Spain did try to prevent England from becoming too powerful. And they're going to send their Spanish Armada, which is one at this period of time, one of the best navies in the world. And the Spanish Armada had a lot of wins. But when they went up against England, because England is an island, England is going to defeat the Spanish Armada under Elizabeth. So after she defeats the Spanish Armada, she's going to be known as the Mistress of the Seas and have the most powerful navy in the world after she defeats Spain. The timeline of events, the next area notes you need to complete, and I do apologize for the lines. Evidently the board scratched it. In 1588, again, looking at the Spanish Armada, that was it was Spain versus England. It was a naval battle. What I mean by naval battle was a battle over water. Spain wanted to stop England's growing power and restore the Catholic Church in England again. So they're trying to bring the Catholic Church back to England. The result, England will win that war, and like I said, Queen Elizabeth will become the Mistress of the Sea. And the bad thing about this is Spain will never gain their power back. They will start going into a decline. But England is going to go through some changes also. The monarchy is going to go through some changes in England. Today, England is more of a democracy like we are in the United States. England does still have the kings and the queens, and right now they have Queen Elizabeth now. Queen Elizabeth II, but she is not as powerful as the monarchy was when Mary Tudor was in power or when Elizabeth Tudor was in power. There is going to be different events that take place that is going to put a limit on the monarchy's power, and one of those huge events in England is known as the Glorious Revolution. When you think of revolutions, you think of bloodshed, you think of people dying, you think of war. Well, the Glorious Revolution was not that. That's why it's called glorious, because no one died in the Glorious Revolution. It was a peaceful pass of power, or limit of power in this case, of the kings. So it was bloodless overthrow of King James II. It happened in England. And the reason being is the English people really did not trust James because he came from a Catholic dynasty. And remember, they do not want to return back to the Roman Catholic Church. So they are going to overthrow James. Eventually, James will leave. And this is where you will have William and Mary. They become king and queen, just like the college. That's the college in Virginia is named after them, William and Mary. They will become king and queen, and they will have to sign the English Bill of Rights, which is going to limit the king's power, or queen's power, in the case of William and Mary. the king will leave, and it is going to be the first step towards democracy in England, such as is going to work because England is a democracy today. During the English Bill of Rights, or the signing of the English Bill of Rights, it brought changes, and one of those changes is habeas corpus, and it basically gives the Englishman right to speedy and public trial by jury of your peers. We took that and put that in our government. Our 6th Amendment to the Constitution says that people have the right to a trial by a jury of your peers. So we did get that from the Glorious Revolution. It is going to change the monarchy from absolute monarchy to now a constitutional monarchy, which is a government that limits the monarchy's power by laws. The parliament is now going to become powerful, and they're also going to get a prime minister. So the prime minister today is like our president, and parliament is like our Congress. So parliament is going to be able to levy taxes, meaning people will now have to pay taxes in England. They will become the supreme bicameral legislative body, and remember, legislative means lawmaking. They are going to be divided in 2 houses. That's where bicameral comes from. You're going to have the House of Lords and the House of Commons, and this is very similar to how Congress is, where we have the Senate and the House of Representatives. We have 2 houses too. We also have a bicameral legislature. The last bit of information is the window to the west, which we already talked about that with the Russian Tsar, which was built by Peter the Great. That was the Tsar at the time. It was an ice-free seaport, meaning that European ships could come in and out now. They wouldn't have to worry about the weather and the ice. He is going to build it in St. Petersburg, Russia. And now the benefit of this is you could trade with Europe year-round, so that Russia didn't fall behind in the trading of the different products that were now going around the world. And that concludes today's lesson on the different kings and queens of Europe. Thank you.